Today, Dalvin Cook kind of did the whole circuit, right? Dalvin Cook did the circuit of questions regarding where he's going to sign. Here's Dalvin Cook on Good Morning Football talking about the Jets being atop his list.
What are you personally looking for out of this meeting?
Just a great vibe, man. Just getting around people that want to love on Dalvin Cook, that want to share that value that I want, and just trying to get around some guys that want to win. I want to bring something different to the table, and that's being Dalvin Cook, and I think that's what I bring to the table. I'm gonna sit down with my agent, and we're gonna go over things. Right now we're just taking it one step at a time. And I think that's what this process is about. You kind of evaluate everything. You don't skip the process of going through everything. Yeah. So I'm just trying to go through one step at a time, and the Jets right at the top of the list. So let's go check the box.
It's interesting. I mean, Dalvin Cook had statistically a good year last year, right? Played in all 17 games. Obviously, he's got a shoulder issue. But last year, 39 catches, which is not spectacular, but it's not bad. Not bad. He's had as many as 53, so he's decent at catching out of the backfield. He was in a Pro Bowl. He was not an All-Pro. What we don't know about is his ability to pass protect. But he's not an old guy by any means. Not at all. And, you look at his contract status and what happened to him. What happened to him in Minnesota is, here's a dude who they spent $32 million on and paid him a couple $1 million to walk away. He's made $32 million in his career. This is a great test case. 27 years old. Off of his fourth straight 1,000-yard season, what is Dalvin Cook worth? And what is Dalvin Cook worth? What is Dalvin Cook worth to the New York Jets? That's like a real question. How much will his contract be? Because that's the true market setter, right? That's the true. The market is not. It's not a free market when you're under contract. It's not a free market when you're under contract. You could be under contract next year. That's not a free market. Dalvin Cook is a complete and total free agent. That's a free market. So what he signs for, how many years, and granted, he got a shoulder issue. And coming off of shoulder surgery, which he had on, I think, Valentine's Day, he had a torn labrum. Now, look, a torn labrum, you're not throwing a football much if you're a quarterback. Where it hurts you is in your ability to maintain your strength, not just for running the football, but more for blocking. Right? Yeah. Also, if your shoulder's catching when you have a torn labrum, catching the ball over your head can be a challenge. But really, this is about blocking and about the ability to maintain strength. But he got shoulder surgery on February 14th. The Vikings, off the fourth straight 1,000-yard season, release him. He clearly wanted a new contract, and they weren't anywhere close. What does he get on the open market is really, really interesting. Because there are no, yes, other teams have their running backs, have their plans, are set in place. But there's enough teams that have cap space and don't have a talent like him on paper. Specifically the Jets, how much do you want Dalvin Cook? How much you want to pay, and for how long? And there may be a plan to adjust Aaron Rodgers' contract next year where it's this gigantic cap hit. But in the meantime, Dalvin Cook, is it going to be a 2-year deal? If so, what's that number going to be like? People make a mistake of considering things that are not free market to be free market. This is a free market. The only limiting factor is the salary cap. And I guess also the idea that many other teams already have their running backs and they're good and they won't need another running back until their current running back gets hurt or underperforms. So I get that he is like, man, I just want a good vibe. Do you? And wouldn't that be amazing if the good vibe comes suddenly from the Jets and, now you look at Aaron Rodgers looking like a completely different human being, right? Looks like a different guy. And Aaron Rodgers is someone who he's been kind of a Debbie Downer recently when he was in Green Bay. I think there is something to doing the same thing but doing it in a new place. And it's pretty obvious that Aaron Rodgers, his personality, he would kind of have a dour persona. I love that word, by the way. That's like my Scrabble word of the day is dour. Kind of a dour persona when he was, the last couple years he was in Green Bay. Like, man, I don't want to be here. I'd like to be anywhere but here. And I do think people generally perform better when they're happier off the field. And though the Jets aren't really in New York, right? I know the stadium's in Jersey, but close where they train is not particularly close to the city. But it's close enough to where when you want to get into where the action is, you get in there. When you don't have to do anything with it. But the Aaron Rodgers suddenly becoming this leader of a band of merry men. And man, do I love being here, and man, do I love coming to work, and man, is this awesome, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like, that sounds all great. It really, really does. And it actually is believable to me because I understand what that's like. There are people that stay places too long. In college coaching, they'll say, every year you stay, you create an enemy. You ever heard that? Every year you stay, you create an enemy? No, that's what they'll tell people. Now, you've been here too long, you create too many enemies. I think it's the same thing in any job. One of the amazing things about people I know have been in, like John Ramos, for example. John, how long have you been at Fox Sports Radio?
Since what was the year that Michael Jackson passed away? Is that 2009?
Okay.
Yeah, 2007?
Right.
Somewhere there, 2009.
And the percentage of days, and you can answer this honestly, you're not getting fired, percentage of days.
Thanks, Doug.
That you look forward to going to work.
Out of 100%, I would say 100%.
100%. There's never a day where you're like, ugh.
Nope.
Really?
Yep. I enjoy my job immensely.
I enjoy the job. I would say when you're hosting a show and it's based upon your opinions and the topics of the day, if you work in the 225-day variety, there's somewhere you got to be above 200 in terms of days with things to say.
That's right. And yes, I agree with you 100%. You're different than I am in the fact that you actually have to come up with an idea of your opinion every day on some sort of sports product. I don't. I appreciate that you bring me in on conversations, but not always do I have an opinion on everything.
No,
right?
but it's still you like what you do, and you like what you do 100% of the time, and that is rare. And it's one of the things that's kept me doing what I'm doing is I polled some people at another job where I was just like, hey, if you won not the lottery, if you won Powerball tomorrow, or you won Powerball tonight, would you come to work tomorrow? And my answer was yes. I like what I do. But I also would tell you that I understand the Aaron Rodgers. Like, I wasn't unhappy at ESPN, but there was hey, what's it look like somewhere else? I think that's human nature. And what you find is, and he was somewhere, how old was he, 18 years was he there? But what happens is you find sometimes there's things you leave behind. You're like, man, I really miss that. And then sometimes you're just energized by the newness and a new building and a new place, and you feel fresher and you feel younger and you feel alive. And I mean, look, it's one of the reasons that I think people stay in college coaching a long time is because though the job can be a little mundane and the same, because there's always turnover, there's always fresh faces, they're always the same kind of energy and wanting to achieve something greater, then I think you don't maintain that level of Now, you could say the same thing in football, but I think we're going to have to probably get to a point where we go, and I was never down on Aaron Rodgers. People who track all of the history of my shows will tell you that Aaron and I have been friendly. And I've always said he's the most talented quarterback I've ever seen. The only adjustment I made to it was, Tom Brady won his 7th Super Bowl, and I had always said Tom is the most successful. I thought Aaron was the best. I do think that when you win that much at that high a level, that there's something to his quarterback play which is clearly better than everybody else's. Rob Parker wants to say it's luck. Fine, luck is part of it. Is being with Bill Belichick part of it? Sure. Did he have a loaded roster and did they have some escapes with Tampa? Absolutely. But all of these things have to be the great leadership, have guys that believe in you, have to not turn the football over, have to be able to perform well in the clutch. All those things have to happen. But I've always been an Aaron Rodgers guy. But he turned dour the past 2 years. And now it's to the point where Dalvin Cook probably going to take less to be with the Jets. And though Aaron Rodgers, and I do think that he'll make that $35 million up back, they'll redo his contract next year and he'll get more of that money. And then they'll, push more money down the street, if you will. But we've gotten to the point where Aaron Rodgers is happy. And when you're happy at work, man, that's really, you're happy at work. And look, if you can double it up, happy at work, happy at home, you're going to be a productive dude. What I think happens when you're unhappy at home is there's a short period of time or a period of time in which you're better at work, especially if you're a kind of performer because, the world may be crashing down outside and now you hyper-focus on your work. I can tell you that from personal experience. Like things aren't going well a lot of times, but it's a short play. The long play is the happiness at work and then, of course, happiness at home, and you're more productive for longer. Isn't it interesting if Aaron Rodgers, who has kind of gone down the Brett Favre path and kind of turned dour, and even the most ardent Aaron Rodgers fans are like, God, this guy makes it so hard to like him. If now he's conducting the best vibe in the NFL. Granted, haven't played a game, haven't lost a game, haven't been booted home. All these things haven't happened. But there is something to that change of scenery, which has clearly energized him and changed him for the better.
Doug,
all right, coming up.
Yes. I was going to say, Doug, there's something you said yesterday, which I actually wrote down, and it's something that I believe in. I think I would tell a lot of the players that I coach. You said personal happiness leads to professional success. I think that's a very, very valid point.
It does. It does. And what I think is interesting is if you can, how long can you mask when you're personally unhappy? How long, or how long can you mask if you're professionally unhappy? And can you fix your professional or personal unhappy like while you're in season, or do you have to have a change of scenery? Like all those things are interesting questions.